webinar. So people
There we go.
Okay, so I started the okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on our business bootcamp and member orientation. My name is Adriana Campillo. I'm the events coordinator for the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It is lovely to see you all here this morning. And it is also lovely to have DeVry University back with us. So I want to give a brief introduction to both of our presenters. Back with us, we have Laura Knapp. She is Dean of Campus and University Partnerships covering the Southwest United States, and she has been with DeVry University for over 6 years, working in operations and business development. And we also have Mercedes Ithier. She is participating with us for the first time, and she has been with DeVry University for over 12 years. And she also holds a bachelor degree in psychology from the College of New Rochelle and a master's degree in organization management from the University of Phoenix. And like I said, Mercedes, Laura, it is lovely to have you here, and please take it away.
Thank you so much, Adriana. And I'm saying your name because remember, I have a niece that's Adrina and one is Adriana. So thank you for having us here. I really do appreciate it. Good morning, members. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate this. And I love that you're here because it just shows that you want to be able to become involved, right, in the offerings that the chamber's providing you and the resources. Never stop because what an excellent and vibrant resource. I live in Orlando, Florida. I'm originally from New York City. And but I'm always a native New Yorker, right? Now I've been here for a long time. But we have our Hispanic chamber here that I am a member of. In fact, I used to be a mentor with them with the high school program that they had. So there are a lot of different facets available at the chamber that just I know just feed me in particular. So I'm happy to be here to have this wonderful conversation. So my partner Laura is going to be in charge of the chat. She is the chief chat in charge, right? So I am going to be using that chat area in order to really get feedback from you, right? Because this session is all about you, your engagement, your feedback. So please, I'm going to have questions and I want you to provide commentary. And if there's something that makes sense, come over and say, yes, it makes sense, Mercedes, Laura, thank you. So I'm going to start this with a question. All right. So let's see. Let's get to the chat. Here's the question. I want you to think about your daily interactions with your colleagues and people and family and just in general. And tell me in the chat, how many different generations do you come into contact with on a daily basis? What is that number? How many different generations? Think about the different age groups that you engage with. How many? Two, three, four? What is that number? And Laura, share with me if you're seeing anything coming through. I don't see it on this side.
Okay, I'm looking here in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, welcome everyone. How many generations? By
How many
generations. Yeah, we mean
different age groups that you engage with? What are the different age groups that you engage with on a daily basis?
I'm
What are the
seeing
different
three
generations?
to four, 3 to 4.
That that's it's pretty good a number. That's pretty
Yeah,
much number that I see a lot. Anything else to see there?
two to
Two to
three.
four. Nice. Okay.
hmm Plenty of people saying 3 to 4. We do have a 2 to 3.
Ah, love it. Love it. This is perfect because what this says to me is that you're ready to have this conversation. Today's conversation, our session is all about how can we better relate, communicate, and collaborate with each other no matter what generation we belong to, right? No matter what the different age groups are, I want to set you up for success so that you can be intentional and proactive in terms of, how are we meeting in terms of different situations, different ways that we communicate. All of that is so different. There is a writer and trainer, Stephen Covey. He wrote The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And in this book, he says that our strength lies in our differences, not in our similarities, right? So, really, diversity and our differences are crucial in our organizations, right? Because it gives our organizations the ability to innovate, to adapt to change, especially in this environment where everything is about change. So the greater the diversity, the better the innovation for your organization, right? So again, thank you for being here. Let's drill down. I want to go over what we're going to discuss. Thank you for that insight. Anything else you want to give insight? The chat is yours. So we're going to talk about we're going to define what the generations are, right? Which ones are they? Which ones do you belong to? And we'll talk a little bit more about that, the four different generations. Then what are the differences, right? So when I talk about generational differences, we're going to figure out, through even an exercise as to how we're different from others and figure out, in spite of those differences, how can we connect more and collaborate more? And then we'll talk about our collaboration. What are things that we can do and best practices to be able to make sure that we are being inclusive, right? No matter what, that we can really communicate, where we meet. And so it's not a stretch. If we're different and we're not connecting, what can we do to better connect and better collaborate? This will definitely change your perspective with your team, with your employees, with your colleagues, and everyone at work. And then we're going to talk about the partnership that we have with the Hispanic Chamber that's extended to all of you. Because if you're here, I want to say that you're probably growth minded. It's not a stretch that you're always willing to figure out what's next for you. So just want to share with you a little bit about our partnership so that you can have the benefit of figuring out, wow, is this something that's good for me? And then we'll move from there. Okay? So let's first start here. So I mentioned earlier, right, that when we talk about, diversity, we talk about how we're different, difference in ages, difference in the way that we see things. So our perspective is different, right? That's just kind of a one-sided approach, but really think about more than age. It's really a package, right? So our differences come kind of in different layers. It's not just about race or age or our ethnicity or color or religion. After this, you're going to see that, wait a minute, part of that biggest difference is how we were raised, our generation, how were our parents. So start thinking about that perspective and that frame of mind. Think about the things that we do because we were taught to do them a certain way. That's what the biggest difference is our generation. That's the biggest thing that we bring to the table. So let's drill down. And I want to ask you, and please join me in the chat. So think about the different people that you connect with on a daily basis. Think, kind of put yourself in that mode and think about what are the differences that you actually see, right? What are some of the biggest differences when you relate to one another, when you impact one another, when you meet with one another, when you work to one another? What are some of the differences that you notice because of the different generations that we come from? Please come to the chat and give me some ideas. What do you think? What are some differences that you see?
Feel free to share your experiences. Don't be
Share.
shy. We'd love
Share.
to
Don't be shy.
hear.
Don't be shy. I'm gonna say that for me, and I'm gonna kind of give you a cheat sheet here because I have it next slide, but I'm gonna show you that for me, it's how people communicate. how people communicate is so different, right?
Mhm.
So that's what's different from me is a lot of it comes from what I was taught. Even in my family, my grandparents had a big, big, big influence on how my mother raised us. It's that simple. It wasn't my mom, it was my grandmother, mi abuela, right? So all the different sayings that she had, all the different, you know, uh, uh, just all of the education that she gave me really set me up to communicate differently, maybe to be more
Mhm.
intuitive. So, what are you thinking? Is there anything that you can think about? Think about this list. Look at this list in front of you and share with me of these, which are the largest differences that you see in people that work that come from different generations?
I see Tina commented mostly the level of understanding and perspective.
I like perspective. Thank you, Tim. That's a really good one. And that says a lot, right? When you think about perspectives, because we have a different point of view, and our perspectives are never the same because we have different history, right? We learn differently, and history lends us into perspective. It does. Anything else? Communication style, or what about
Communication
criticism?
style. Yeah.
Anything else there?
Work-life balance. What is
Oh,
working
yeah.
hard versus working smart?
Oh, you're
Working.
absolutely right. And I've always been accused of being a workaholic. And I'm like, no, I'm not a workaholic. I've kind of toned it down a little bit, but you'll see when we come to different work styles, you're going to be like, I know what that means. But consider the things that are more nuanced, the things you don't probably see a lot, but I want you to be aware of them. There's one here, it's response to criticism and praise. Again, right? We have different perspective, we feel differently. So there was kind of something I want to share with you that was really funny. I saw this in the paper that really just gives me a great example to share with you how people respond differently to praise, for example. Some people are like, they love to be the center of attraction. How many of you are the center of attention? How many of you like that? Come to the chat. Let me know. Yes, no, or do you like being the center of attention? Do you like it?
Come on, admit it.
Come on,
Right?
anybody? Anybody? Oh, okay. Most people say
Okay.
no, but they really like it. They really like,
Some
they really
people
like
say
it.
no. Some people say no,
Nah,
but
they're
some
really like,
people.
no, 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 no. But let me tell you something. So let me take it to the other extreme. There was an article that I read, and Laura, I think I had shared this with you, but I want to, kind of find out. Some people hate being the center of attention. In fact, it brings them stress, right? For whatever reason. But this is a great example. They can even become anxious. So there was a story in the Covington Press, Covington, Kentucky. There was a man who was, working with a larger company, and he told his company he noticed that every time it was somebody's birthday, they made a big deal. All right, how many of you have a company like that? That it's a big deal. They give you the card. They make sure everybody has a cake. Who has that? Come to the chat. Let me know. Yes, right. Do they bring a birthday cake and they sign a card by everybody? Do
Saying
they
happy
do that?
birthday.
Happy birthday and the whole thing. Come to the office. We got something to tell you. And then it's surprise, that kind of a thing. So he said from the beginning, please don't do that to me. That's not, I don't like it. And the company was like, oh, yeah, that probably means do it. So that's what they did. When it was his birthday, they stopped what they were doing in the middle of the day. They sent them a message to come to the boardroom for a meeting. And when they did, the whole floor was there. Surprise! And they had balloons and a cake. And he was stressed out. So stressed out that that the next day he had to call in, and he was so anxious about it that he ended up leaving the organization. He left the company. And when he left the company, he turned around and sued the company. Do you believe that? So he sued the company because he said that attention that they put on him caused him anxiety. And that's an extreme. Has anybody heard that story before? Yes, no? Let me know. Have you heard that before?
Oh, Marcy heard the story.
You heard the story? So Marcy, you know that, right? He won a $500,000 lawsuit. Oh my God. Really? Come on. So that's the extreme. But who knows why that happened, right? Because we're shaped by our experiences, right? I think most of you would agree, right? That we are shaped by our experiences, which pretty much stem from what generation we come from. How were we raised, right? What are some things that occurred as we were growing up? Things that we're taught. These are the things that distinguish us from one another. So let's get into it here. So I want you to take a look at these different ranges of birth. They each equate to a generation. So if you were born between 1946 and 64, you are a boomer. If you were born between 1965 and 1981, you're a Gen Xer, and so on. So I'm kind of right there in the middle between 64 and 65. So I'm kind of right in the middle. So I want you to come to the chat and go ahead and identify. Let me know which is your generation because we're going to talk about these and have some fun with some great examples at the same time. So come to the chat, see which one you identify with. All right, is everybody in there?
All right,
Or
I'm seeing
do we
millennial,
have
millennial.
lots of
Like,
millennials? Oh my
huge, I
God,
mean,
my son.
huge cohort, right? Millennial,
Yep,
very huge cohort. I'm Generation X. Okay,
you're a
Marcy,
Gen Xer.
Gen X. I'm Gen X. Yeah. So
Nice, nice,
small of it.
nice.
No, I think it was a
So
small one.
we've got a little. Do we have we got any boomers?
X.
Do we have any boomers in there, Laura? No boomers.
Any boomers?
No
Any
boomers?
boomers? Yeah, another huge cohort. Really,
Okay.
really huge. So
Nice. Nice. So that's perfect. So let me start this way, right? When you think about this, I want you to think about, your own background, right? Think about who you are. Think about how you grew up. Did you grow up with family members that were, I like to use the word frugal, they want to save money, right? Money doesn't grow on trees, my dad used to always say. You know, who do you think I am? Rockefeller, all those types of things. That's how I grew up. Everybody was always trying to save money, put things aside, that kind of thing. Now, when I think about that, it's because, for me, my parents were born around the early 1940s. So that means that for them, they were probably kids around the Depression. Now, the Depression took place not only in America, but probably in some of the pockets of the Caribbean, because my parents were from Cuba, okay, and Puerto Rico. So it was kind of different there, but they still grew up with that type of persona, right? How many of you have heard these types of sayings, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. How many of you have heard that before? Has anybody told you that before? Am I getting some yeses in there?
oh yeah. Oh yes. Yes,
What about waste not, want not?
absolutely.
Right? Okay. So
Absolutely.
right? So we're getting this. We're getting this from our family. We didn't make this up. So when I grew up, right? I'm right in between a Gen Xer and a Boomer. So Gen Xers who are there, they probably some of you might identify with some of these things. So when I grew up, there was no cable, no internet. Could you imagine
Yeah.
that? Oh my God, right? Something simple like a remote. Wait a minute, we did have a remote. I was my dad's remote.
Yeah.
I was my dad remote. Me said, cámbiame canal, right? Change the channel. And I was the one running, yes, daddy, number 9. Yeah, I changed the channel. So think
Yes.
about all of these things. Anybody else? Anybody else with a remote for their family? Did I
I
see
mean,
that?
I was growing up, and I put in the chat, my dad was actually quite more mature than my mom. And so I
Ah.
feel like I had that upbringing. And
Mhm.
then so I say I'm mixed, you know what I mean? I'm a mixed generation. I definitely have a lot of affinity for baby boomer generation.
Yes.
And but I think even with the Gen Xers, depending on when you were born, a lot of that stuff we did not have, in the early stages, and then it all, came out and everything like that later on.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah, you
yeah.
do because you're so close, especially if you have siblings that are just a little bit younger than you,
Yes.
then they fall into that. So I know that I fall right there in the middle because there was this whole phenomenon, right? That's called latchkey. What this means is that you were at that age where you were beginning to get responsibility. So many people had their own key to their house around their neck, like a little latch key. How many of you had that? Or is that something that was just, that maybe we had in our family, in our neighborhood, what they call latch key? How many of you had the key to your house? When did you have the key to your house? That your mother said, here's the key to the house, and these are the rules. Did anybody have that? Come from
Oh
the
yeah,
chat?
we're seeing
Yes?
it. Yes.
We seen that? Okay. I don't know. I had a little, I had a chain around my neck, and I had the key around my neck. But this is what how it was done, right? Your mother, when she gave you the key, she goes, "Okay, here's the key," and you got a long list of rules, right? You had responsibility early. So part of that, when you think about your Gen Xer now, what does that mean? That sense of independence because you were given this, and that sense of being self-reliant, right? And dependability, that was born early. That's a generational shift that took place for a lot of my Gen Xers. That's self-reliance. So think about your colleagues now who are in this kind of area, right? Think about all the different shifts that were taking place during that time that really began to kind of, mold you and change you, right? Trust, things of that nature, so that if you are, getting home by yourself, you have your key, you don't trust people around you too much, right? So, is there anything else you guys remember in your
Yeah.
generation? Come to the chat, share with me. What are
Mhm.
some things that you remember? I know we had MTV, the music was phenomenal, yes, you know. What are some other things that you remember during this particular time that really changed you?
Yeah,
That even now
Marcy
you remember?
talking about walking blocks and blocks and blocks to school, and just how different
Oh,
it is from the,
yes.
they talk about the helicopter parenting, I guess, in later generation
Oh
millennials
yeah,
and
man.
stuff.
I was a
Very different.
helicopter parent. I'll tell you that. Yeah, big difference. I walked to school by myself, and yeah, I had to walk blocks. I remember I grew up in New York City, so I used to take the bus by myself.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I think I was like maybe 9 years old. It was not a big deal. It was a different generation. Things were a little bit different, so you had that independence more. So who said that walking lots of blocks? Who was that?
Marcy.
Marcy. So think about that, right? Early, you have that streak of independence that you can get things done. So think about what that means to your day to day, how you engage with others, and what are you teaching your children, right? What are you doing to set that standard early in their life? You know, I know that it's funny, but what do a lot of parents say or older people say to us? Back in my day, when I was your age, do you ever hear that? Do people start a phrase like that? Ah, when I was your age, this is how things were, right? Right? Do we hear that quite a bit? That's where this thing comes from because it's that,
It's different.
different types of skills that are born of memories, skills and things that we do now that are born of the different types of experiences that we've had. So let's look at our millennials. Do we have the most millennials here? Is that it? Do we have more millennials than anything else, Laura?
It
How many
felt like
millennials?
I got more millennials. Yeah.
Millennials,
Posting.
come to the front. Come to the front of the virtual class, millennials. Okay? And tell me, this is how I see millennial because my son is a millennial. My son is a millennial. The millennial is the one that, they expect things to be sleek, to be, on point, to be easy, to get done, smooth and running. Here's an example. When I think I was with my son, he saw the line of people during election day voting. And he's like, why isn't there an app for that yet? You know what I mean? So think about efficiencies, the internet, resources. Millennials grew up. What do you guys remember growing up? When did you have your first computer in your house, my millennials? Do you remember when you had your first computer in your house?
1995-ish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
AOL. I got mail. You got mail. Yes. Yes. Ah, listen to the
Early
modem sound.
2000s. Yeah, the
Yes,
modem
with the
connecting. Right.
modem sound and the chat rooms and
It was
yeah, that's how my son grew up. And I always have to be like watching him, like, I want to know what you're doing in there, that kind of a thing, right? Was very young, but that means, right? So your first engagement in like 95, and just think about when you were born during this time. So you were very young, maybe 7, 8, 9 years old when you first started seeing technology shifts going on in your life, something that previous generations never had. So you already started with that idea that, hey, this is a resource, right? The internet as a resource. What can I do to make my life easier? So now, what does that mean to your day to day, right? You want that transparency. You want that availability of information, right? Is there what else do you see that you do a little bit differently that you kind of remember that, wait a minute, I did this, as a millennial, this is what I kind of remember. Is there anything else you remember from your formidable years besides the internet just starting, maybe your cell phone? When did you
Tina,
first get your
Tina
cell
remembers
phone?
the Oregon Trail. Tina
The
remembers the Oregon Trail. Yeah.
the Oregon Trail. Oh my God. Nice. Okay, that's perspective. I love it. And then if you have, I guess, parents who
It's
are
awesome.
between baby boomer and Gen Xer like me, like I'm right in the middle. I was a helicopter parent. I mean, honestly, what's a helicopter parent? Maybe I don't know if you've heard this term before. Maybe some of you have. That means that the parent hovers. I did. And I did hover over my millennial child. Absolutely. He was the only child. And after all the things that took place before, like the Columbine shootings, right, that took place, the internet, it meant that the parents had to kind of like step up with their game, with their children to
Mhm.
make sure that everything was okay. 9/11 took place during that time, right? So there's a big shift in how we deal with each other, on how we deal with our children. So you might have seen that shift take place with your parents, my millennials, because now that changes you a little bit in terms of how you work, how you show up, right? So here's the next one, Gen Edgers. So Laura, were there any Gen Edgers on the call? I'm interested.
I didn't see, but yeah, I would love
Yeah.
to hear anyone Gen
Okay.
Edge these
I
years.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Typically, I don't see a lot of
Okay.
these,
Yeah.
but how many of you have Gen Edgers at home?
Oh, yes.
Your
Yeah.
children, my
Marcy says yes
nieces
for
and nephews.
some.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Veronica
So,
says yes. Me too, actually.
Veronica, you do. So, Veronica, Marcy, let me ask you this, and tell me with a yes or no in the chat. How many times do you have to tell your son or daughter to put down the phone and look at you? How many times? Yes, no. Do you have to do that?
All the
You
time.
probably have to do that, like at dinner. No, 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 no. Put that cell phone away. Like it's almost like the phone is an extension of their arm, right? Constantly, they'll eat with one hand and have the cell phone in the other.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty much what you see because they have been immersed in technology from day one. They've never known a time
Yes. Yeah.
that they didn't have a
Mhm.
cell phone. Is that right?
Yeah. And
They've never. Go
Marcy
ahead,
has a
please
good comment.
share.
They don't understand. They don't really know that it looks rude, to maybe our generation, to a Gen X or higher, they
Right.
just, it is what it is, right?
She made a really, really good point because part of our responsibility to this generation is understanding that it's, guess what? It's a generational thing. It is. So our responsibility is to really coach and keep them, aware of what that perception is and show them to be more engaged in the here and the now with people, with presence, being present in the moment, articulating more, putting that phone down, looking at you, face to face when you speak, right? That's really what it's about. So here's another thing too that I want you to be aware about because as this generation matures more and joins the workforce, they're going to be a little bit different. And why? Yeah, there's some different things that have happened. You have, blended families and cultures, like ethnicities. They're a lot more open to the breadth of our differences, right? Black Lives Matter, the culture, all of that going on, social media, tech, all the things going on. But what else happened in the last couple of years that really changed this generation's social agenda? Can anybody tell me what really happened the last couple of years? Come on now.
You mean the
What
most recent years or?
most recent couple of years that really changed a lot of things for this generation and for everyone, but they really got impacted.
And I do see things in the chat:
Like what?
extremism, the pandemic,
There
environmental
you go.
challenges,
You
COVID,
got
the
it.
pandemic.
Oh man, thank you. I love this audience. You guys are awesome. You hit it. You hit it right on the nose, right? So instead of that, Great Recession, which yeah, we're experiencing now, definitely the pandemic, right? People, what's the outcome of that? Everything you mentioned, um, the social life, right? They had to be, pulled out of school, maybe homeschool, maybe school online, so they weren't able to really engage. Their graduations had to be virtual.
Mhm.
Everything had to be virtual. So that impacts, right, your mental health, your ability to cope, maybe the loneliness, depression, right? All of these things, no social interaction changes that particular generation. And it becomes generational because they experienced it in those years, right? Between 18, 20, 21. Think about your life during that time and how different it was. So, this is really important to be aware that as this generation comes into your work life, right, into the workforce, we're going to have to deal with them a little bit differently, coach them differently, train them differently. All right, they come with a lot of greatness and but also a lot of challenge. Right, so thank you for bringing those things up because you're right on point. That pandemic shift a lot of things for lot of us, especially this particular generation. So, where are we with time? Okay, good. We're perfect on time. So, here's what I want you to do. We have a great exercise. Get a quick pen and paper because I have 5 questions that I'm going to ask you to determine your work generation. All right. So I'm going to read the questions off and you'll see what the different choices are. And I want you to write down your answers. It's multiple choice. Just write down the letter. Don't share it in the chat. Okay. At the end of the fifth question, I'll reveal what the different answers are. And based on that, you'll know what generation you belong to at work. It doesn't mean that it's the same generation that you were born into. Maybe at work, we're different, right? So here is the first question. Are you guys ready? Well, let Laura know you're ready in the chat. Do you have your paper and pen? Are we ready? Come over and
Yep,
say ready. Are we
ready.
good?
Yep, I see
Ready,
some
ready?
yeses. Yep,
Yay!
ready,
Oh,
ready.
my fun crowd. I love my Hispanic chamber. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Okay, so here's the first question. Remember, don't share your answers. All right, keep them to yourself until the end. So here, you want to do is that you want to choose a statement that best aligns with your attitude and your beliefs. So the first question is, if I have questions on a work task, I prefer to, and which one do you prefer to do? A, B, C, or D? All right. And then the next question is, when it comes to work life balance. Oh, I love work life balance. Right? And then which is your answer? A, B, C, or D? All right. Let me know you're ready to move. Next. Are we good here? I'm going to
Are we all
go.
good?
All right,
Ready to move
cool.
on? Okay, we're moving.
You good? All right. Okay. So question 3 and 4. Number 3. If I have a choice, I prefer to work. How do you prefer to work? Which is yours? A, B, C, or D? Let's look at these. Laura, have you ever taken this test before? This quiz?
Have I?
Yeah, you ever did this
I
one?
I have, and I feel like, yeah, my
Okay.
results are
Let's see.
kind of
Let's see.
all over. Yeah.
Adriana, you gotta take this one too. Okay, number 4. When it comes to the use of technology at work, what do you think, guys? A, B, C, or D? We good? Nice. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the last question. The last one. My generation has been unfairly stereotyped as, which one is it? A, B,
Did they say that
C,
about
or
us?
D? I know, right? Impatient, lazy. Oh my God.
Is that what they say?
What? I know. Is that what they're saying about that? I know. It's so funny. All right. Did everybody finish?
Everyone ready?
Okay. So
Yep.
if everybody is ready, here's what I'd like for you to do. I want you to go ahead and tally all of your A answers, all of your B answers, all of your C's, and all your D's. All right. And then just count up how many A's, how many B's, how many C's, how many D's. And based on where that is, this is what you got. If your answers are mostly A's, at work you identify with a Gen Xer. If they're mostly B's, your work style is that you identify mainly with a baby boomer.
Hmm.
And with a C, you identify with a Gen Edger. D's identify with millennials. So when you get all that, I want you to tell me, where are you? So come to the chat and I want you to type in your birth generation. So for me, I would put BB, and my work generation is millennials. So I would put slash MIL. So come to the chat and put in what was yours? What was your work generation? You want me to go back? I can go back and show you that chart and then put a slash and what is your birth generation? Are you who you thought you were? Laura, what do you
Oh,
got going
wow.
on in there?
Yeah. Okay. Some interesting, very, very interesting. So Tina says she's a baby. Wait, you're saying your scores are baby boomer and millennial. And
Oh,
then
she's like me.
Mars, yeah, Marcy's baby boomer, scored for baby boomer and Gen Edge.
Ah, nice,
And
nice.
my results were all over the place, but I guess I actually scored more so for millennial, and I'm a Gen Xer technically.
Okay.
And then Veronica's saying she's a Gen Xer, but scored baby boomer. So,
And you know what's interesting here is that this is my opinion. This is what I think. I think that we tend to shift towards who we're with, right? So think about your closest colleagues. Think about your leader, at work. What's your leader? Like my leader's a millennial, so I probably gravitate towards more of her work style because we're trying to meet our teams and our bosses' expectations, right? That's what I'm thinking. So I probably shifted more. So think about, do you align more with your own generation or someone else's, and why do you think that is? So that kind of like breaks it down a little bit. So here's what we're going. I want you to keep this in mind for you. But let's think about your colleagues. They think about, the people that you're surrounding yourselves with, right? So when, for example, if you are a leader of people and if you have baby boomers, here's some things you might want to keep at the top of your mind when you're working with a boomer. And I can tell you personally, right, that a turn off for me, right, is someone just coming in being blunt, not having finesse, like coming in and just taking over the conversation and not saying, "Hey, how you doing?" I like things to be a little bit more, concise, right? So that's definitely me, right? Again, being a people person, that kind of thing, really paying attention to how someone, moves the room. What is their overall contribution? That's really when I'm looking at that, right? When you're working with a baby boomer, you want to definitely do this. Understand that they are coming with experience, right? Experience maybe from different organizations. They're bringing in a plethora, right, of different ideas because of the time that they've put in. Respect that. Always, gain that perspective from that person because they're bringing in some extra skills that folks around you may not have. Yeah, they're sometimes known as workaholics. I raise my hand to that. I was always accused of that, because we're focused on what we're doing. We over prepare, overwork. It seems like we're doing that, but that's what it is. So just understand that you will probably have that. So on the other hand, too, check this out. If some of you have a boomer that you might sit close to, or that kind of thing, and let's say, you go out to lunch, and maybe lunch is 1 hour. So the boomer's perspective is, if you leave and you come back an hour and a half later, they'll kind of say, "Hey, nice lunch," nice lunch, right? Because you took too much time. That's kind of like what their perspective is. You're supposed to focus on what you're supposed to do, right? So that's what you find. Anything else? You guys know anything else you want to share? Anything else about that boomer that you've experienced?
Yeah, any
Oh,
impressions that you have and would like to share?
anything about impressions of boomers? Okay. If then you
They're the
can always, what was you saying?
first first to arrive and last to leave.
Oh my God. Oh, you said it. You said it. Oh my God. That's so funny. Too
Ah,
funny. Too funny. That was me. Totally, that was me. Especially when I worked in the office. I think
uh,
at home it's even worse because no one
yes.
can tell you when it's time to go home. You kind of work all the time. So look at the Gen Xer. So if you're managing a Gen Xer, if you're leading a Gen Xer, and you guys can tell me, right? Uh, Gotta be direct. Land the plane. How many of you heard that? Come on, get to the point, right? Land the plane. Laura, you like that when you're dealing with someone? Be straightforward,
I love
right?
straightforward.
Be
Point.
straightforward. Be just land the plane to the point. I want to spend time with my family. It's about my family, really. Let's get the work done, and then I can go home and take care of that. That's really a lot of what it is. So if you're leading them, understand that that's how you want to communicate. And because they were given responsibility early, they have that strike of independence. Like they probably work on things better by themselves than with a team, right? So respect that, understand that when you're doling out work, when you see everybody working, that they're probably going to want to, kind of work more on their own because they can probably get it done. They need that flexibility and spending time with their family. That's really, really what you see more of. Again, we all have that, but particularly the Gen Xer, you would definitely see that. When you're looking at a millennial, yeah, this is really, as a leader, when you're managing one, you definitely want to, stay away from being, a cynic, from being, from downplaying things or being sarcastic. You want to definitely, speak to what it is that you need to get done. Make sure that you are encouraging, collaborative. Most millennials enjoy teamwork and collaboration, right? So just always kind of keep that in your back pocket, like contests and things like that, to really motivate a team. Millennials are always game for bringing in fun, right? It's okay to have fun while you work. That's the kind of environment millennials definitely enjoy. Can anybody attest to that? What do you guys think? Are
What
we
do the
good
millennials
here?
say?
What
Is
do
this an
millennials say? What do millennials say?
the millennials say? Tina says yes.
Yes,
Agree.
yes, love it, love it, love it. Have fun. FUN. Yes, it's okay. That's the main thing. Appreciate, again, that you're coming in with that technology because you came up with it, right? Um, a lot of folks say, right, that you want to make sure that you recognize that millennials value. They can multitask. They do that. I remember walking into my son's room when he was doing his homework before he went away to college. He would have the TV on, the music on, the laptop on. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, homework. I'm like, what? You know, so many things going on at one time, but they can balance it. They can juggle it. So think about your own work style, right? and how different it is as a millennial, right? You are definitely used to having your hand in different things and doing different things. Think about your work preferences, right? What are some things that are different for you? And then, of course, the Gen Edger, we kind of talked about a little bit. Not going to spend too much time here. You'll get a copy of this particular deck here, so you'll see this. But I'm thinking that once they come into the workplace, if you're leading them, as we mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that on the communication front, that we work with them, right? We coach them, make sure that they're not, so deep into just technology and social media, that you want them to come out and be more open, communicate more, really work on the communication style, work on their delivery, because those are things that are really, really important, but at the same time, respect that their commitment to diversity is key. And in fact, for the last few years, lots of companies have reflected this in their hiring practices. There's a lot more diversity, equity, and inclusion leaders and managers than there were ever before. That's something that I've seen. Wow, lots of diversity inclusion really being revamped into organizations because this particular generation is beginning to come into the workforce, and this is something that's really, really important. So just understanding that is so clear. So as we wind down here, I just want to kind of close with this before we go into our last little piece here, that since really, creating a collaborative and balanced workplace is so important to all of us. So I want you to kind of always have this, what they call TOMA, right? Top of mind awareness. Always keep these things aware. Assume positive intentions, right? Sometimes someone will say something to you or do a certain thing and you think that they're being disrespectful or rude. Maybe their communication style is just different. So instead of taking miscommunication as a sign of disrespect, skip the assumptions and just, kind of change your communication lens and be more generous and asking questions about, what is it that they mean, or help me understand what you meant by that, that kind of thing. Lend them the additional time, right? Embrace the diversity. So be intentional about being open and learning from people who are not like you. That's the best thing, right? Is to be able to embrace.
Whoops, Mercedes, you there?
Maybe pivot
Okay.
who you deal with on a daily for diversity. That's awesome way to do that as well. And then recognize that values and different strengths, right? That's a fantastic way to pivot, that where you may need help, someone else may be strong there. And finally, use this information to help you lean and really strengthen what's that next step for you. Because no matter what generation you belong to, this is really all about your decision to be proactive in really developing your own personal style so you can be more inclusive, more generous, and just keep all of these principles in your work to elevate you. All right. So I want to share this with you, because part of developing yourself and changing your purview and shift is really about supporting yourself and being growth minded. And it's because of that the Hispanic Chamber has partnered with DeVry University to provide you with this as a resource, as a benefit of your membership. It means that you're uniquely positioned, to be able to use this and put it in your back pocket and say, wow, I've got something that I can maybe use. So think about your own goals. What are they? What are some things that you want to, move towards, right? Think about what programs you're interested in. Where are you in your own education, in your own exposure? Not only do we offer several different roads that can lead you towards either earning a certificate so you can have better skills and be better positioned to to elevate yourself, or maybe finishing a degree that you might have started, but life got in the way, right? Like for me, life got in the way. It took me 12 years to go back and get a master's degree, right? Because I had to have my babies and all that. It happens. But another thing that we focus on here is making sure that we are leaning into next generation education. So we have a program that's called Next Gen Hispanic Scholars Program. And it's because we're taking the lead to close the gap and fill the pipeline for more tech position roles to be filled with the Hispanic population, because we've identified that there's a gap, right? There's a gap in technology. So the point is for us to be able to have a program that's going to allow you to learn, close that diversity gap so that you're ready for careers no matter what, so that they're open to everyone. It's complete equitable. So we have six degree programs as well that expand into over 40 different specializations depending on what you want. This is where you want to have a conversation with yourself, with your HR manager, with your family, and think about, what is it that I want to do? Do I want a degree? Do I want something in business? Do I want to be able to elevate myself? Or our cohort certificate programs, right? As a group, you can start together on the 29th. And what this means is that you can even take a certificate. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you say, something, I don't want a degree right now. I don't want to focus on that. I might just want to take some courses and earn a certificate. And what that does is that it focuses on specific skills that can help you develop yourself and grow. On the undergraduate side, we have four um, different areas, and on the graduate side, you may already have a bachelor's degree. So there's 7 areas there that you can focus on. Human resource management, I did that one. I did it in 1 year. I got my certificate in human resource management, and it gives you the skills that you need in order to really become a subject matter expert. And with shifts going on in different companies, it's always good to have that extra knowledge. And then those certificates are all stackable. It means that all of the classes you take, 100% of them roll into the next degree. No classes are left behind. So if you just want a certificate for now, and then maybe down the road you say, man, I might want to get my degree, all those classes count towards your associate and then towards your bachelor's. And the same thing on the graduate side. So you may just want a grad certificate and not deal with a master's now, but then maybe in a year say, something, I'm going to take all those classes and put them towards my master's. That's an awesome proposition because you get to carry all your classes over. So I know I talked a lot, but let me go through what the benefits are, and then Laura, if you can put the link in the chat, that'd be fantastic. We're excited that this education partnership can bring you this. The chamber has, again, we have a cohort, which means a group of you can get started together starting on August 29th. It's called Jumpstart. It means that your first 3-credit class is complimentary. It's on us. So this gives you a chance to get started, and you don't have to come out of pocket for this particular class. It's yours no matter what. Then after that, all of your tuition is reduced by 25%. That's huge, especially now. It's big. So we are so excited because this is going to be able to not just help you, but also your family. So all of these benefits are extended to your dependents as well. Make learning a family affair, right? That's what I do with my husband, and we all used to sit with pizza and our laptops. That's how we did it. So you can maximize all the benefits and tuition benefits that you get at your company, along with these benefits that DeVry offers you, because it's going to help you reduce your out-of-pocket expenses. So I think that Lauren put the link in the chat, but I want you to know that, we are here to help you. You're not alone. It doesn't matter how long you've not taken a course. Our classes are 100% online. They're flexible. They're accelerated. They only go 8 weeks long. So every 8 weeks, you can jump into a new class. That's how I was able to finish my certificate in human resources in 1 year. You could take one class or two if you want to finish sooner. I access my classes either on my laptop, a tablet. We also have an app that you can download and listen to your textbook and your lectures. I do it while I'm working out. I listen to my textbook while I'm working out or while I'm cooking. Okay. So again, we have a dynamic team from the beginning. Once you click on that link or that QR code that's on here, that takes you to the partner page for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that's especially designed for all of its members. Then you click on request info, and you'll be able to fill in information and connect with the admissions rep. So I want to say thank you, but we're here to answer questions. We got a couple of minutes left. Tell me, in the chat, does this sound good to you? Are you excited about this partnership in place? And are you ready to take advantage of this? And just a lot, right? But I just want to thank you. Any questions that you might have, we are here for you. All right.
Oh,
And I have the picture here of Felix Caruso. He's our success partner, and he can help with helping you get started as well. Go ahead, Laura. Thank you.
oh my gosh,
A
Mercedes,
lot.
thank you so very much. I see a lot of thank yous here in the chat and comments, and just so much appreciation. And
And take out your phone and point and click at that QR code so you can have that.
yes, I'm just going to go ahead and put in the chat as well. But yet this QR code should also take you directly to that same link.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me go ahead and just
That-
get this in here as well in the chat
Put
if you
it
want
in
to
there.
copy and paste or just click right through it.
And I
that
will
takes
say,
you-
I want to tell you guys too that, and I'm sorry, Laura, to step on you, but if you've ever considered, what is that next step for you? Maybe you want to be able to sharpen a skill and be ready for an opportunity, because there's a lot of changes going on now. Technology, people are shifting in their businesses, companies are shrinking and doing things differently. So if this piques your interest, you owe it to yourself to have a conversation with admissions. Just have a conversation. You might be closer than you think. Maybe you have a transcript or some classes you've taken before. If you've taken a class before and never really finished, we can work with you. We can order your transcript. I don't care how old it is, how long ago it was, and we can figure out maybe those credits can come in. So just have that conversation so that we can help you get to that next level. Go ahead, Laura. I'm sorry. I'm chatty. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. And you made a very good point. I think sometimes people have, classes or degrees or certificates from all over the place over the years, and we're always happy to evaluate all of those units and see, can we wrap that into or help that, go into another new program, right? Without having to take all of the classes that are required,
Right.
course waivers
Mhm.
basically. And that process is free to inquire. There's not an application fee. It's been waived due to the partnership between DeVry and Keller and the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So that's a benefit that you have as a member. And yeah, we encourage you to definitely learn more, take a look. I put my contact information if you feel just like emailing me, and we can set up a time to chat as
Thank
well.
you.
If you'd like
Yeah.
to call or just go ahead
And
and
come
click
to
through.
the chat, come to the chat. Let us know. Do you find this interesting? Is this something that you find interesting? Yes, no, let me know. Are you excited about this? But thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh my gosh. Thank you once again, Mercedes. Thank you, Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, everyone who joined us
Thank you for this
today.
No, of
opportunity.
course. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mercedes.
Adriana, go right ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to thank you both for the presentation for today. Thank you so much for all of this information. I just wanted to touch up with the attendees in our chat. If you're not a member and you're interested in learning more about the ACHCC's activities and more business boot camps coming in the future, make sure to let us know in the chat and we will reach out to you. And we also have Eric McIntosh here for any questions on member services or anything like that. And I also wanted to announce that we had a raffle today, a raffle for DBAC tickets for the D-backs versus Pirates game. And that draw has been made randomly. And our winner for today is Cristian Carrillo. Cristian Carrillo, congratulations. We hope you can attend the game. We will send you an email shortly with further details as of how to attend that game. And yeah, once again, if you have any questions for Mercedes, Laura, or the chamber, just let us know. Either, you know, you can unmute yourself, or you can just you know, ask us anything via the group chat or the Zoom
Yeah,
chat.
yeah, yes,
And
you can. Yes, right. Group chat, Zoom chat.
yeah.
Yes, Tina, thank you. Yeah, very interesting. Great. Definitely reach out. And if you're thinking about, this is something that's bought again by the Arizona Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, because a lot of chambers don't do this. So I love that you're doing this. It's just something extra that comes with your membership, is having this extension of just a vehicle for you to just embrace and better yourself. And again, thank you so much, Adriana, for this opportunity. I think that what you're doing is fantastic for your membership to have all these different resources available for them. So good, great stuff.
I
Thank
agree.
you, Christian. Woohoo! I'm reading the comments.
Congratulations, Christian.
Yeah, we hope you enjoy. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, feel free if there are no questions now, certainly feel free to be in touch separately, offline. I'm happy to hear from anyone. I can put you in touch with Mercedes as well. And we're just really looking forward to continuing the conversation and our next webinar that is upcoming. And I just wanted you all to enjoy the rest of the boot camp. And thank you once again for your time and attention. And thank you, Adriana, for pulling all of this together. We appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you both, Mercedes, Laura, and I'm sorry, I was having a little bit of audio issues before, so I did not mean to cut you off.
Oh, not at all.
But once again, we really appreciate, and on behalf of the chamber, we want to thank you so much for being present. And with this, we conclude the business bootcamp portion of today, and we can move on to member orientation to whoever is sticking out for that. And thank you so much, Laura, and thank you so much, Mercedes, for coming. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you, you as well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.